One of the most unbelievable bombing missions by the Allies in World War II took place in the closing days of the war, but instead of dropping bombs that resulted in death and destruction, the 4-engine British Lancaster and American Flying Fortress bombers were dropping rations for salvation and mercy. After the ambitious yet failed Operation Market Garden took place in the Netherlands in September 1944, the Dutch people were stricken with what is referred to as the Hongerwinter or Hongerwinter. The famine, paired with the lack of fuel for warmth, led to an estimated 20,000 civilian deaths. With only half of the country liberated, those in the northern and western portions suffered from continued occupation by German forces, limited food supplies, and the cold season of northwest Europe. In total, over 11,000 tons of food were dropped over 1.5 weeks, with the acquiescence of the occupying German forces to help feed Dutch civilians in danger of starvation. After it was realised that Manna and Chowhound would be insufficient, a ground-based relief operation named Operation Faust was launched. On the 2nd of May, 200 Allied trucks began delivering food to the city of Rennes behind German lines. Negotiations. As the war was wrapping up in April of 1945, in an effort to alleviate the suffering of the Dutch, the Allies devised a plan to deliver much-needed food via airlift. In a precursor to the famous Berlin airlift of 1948-49, the plan was complicated for a number of reasons, one of the biggest being the fact that the Germans had their anti-aircraft artillery position to shoot flak up at the Allied bomber formations on the way to their raids over Nazi Germany. Another was that the Allies and Germans were still at war, and the British advance was still pushing forward in the area where many of the rations would need to be dropped. Lastly, the ever-present concern that Joseph Stalin would be suspicious of any negotiations between the Western Allies and Germans, fearing that it would lead to a double cross and secret and separate peace without the Soviet Union. Prince Bernhard appealed directly to Allied Supreme Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower, but Eisenhower did not have the authority to negotiate a truce with the Germans. While the Prince got permission from British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and US President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Eisenhower had Air Commodore Andrew Geddes begin planning immediately. On the 23rd of April, authorization was given by the Chief of Staff, George Marshall. Allied agents negotiated with Reichskommissar Arthur Seyss-Inquart and a team of German officers. Among the participants were the Canadian future writer Farley Mowat and the German Commander-in-Chief, General Johannes Blaskowitz. It was agreed that the participating aircraft would not be fired upon within specified air corridors. Relief efforts. The British operation started first. It was named after the food which was miraculously provided to the Israelites in the Book of Exodus. The planning of the operation was initially done by the Royal Air Force. British aircraft from 1, 3 and 8 groups took part, with 145 sorties by Mosquitoes and 3,156 by Lancaster bombers. On the American side, 10 bomb groups of the US 3rd Air Division flew 2,268 sorties beginning the 1st of May, delivering a total of 4,000 tons. 400 B-17 Flying Fortress bombers of the United States Army Air Forces dropped 800 tons of K rations during the 1st to the 3rd of May on Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. At least one B-17 crew, that of the Stork Club from the 500th Squadron, received battle recognition, despite having no guns for their humanitarian mission, as a result of receiving fire from German flak. The missions went off practically without a hitch. The Germans honoured their word, almost entirely, that no coordinated anti-aircraft would fire upon the planes, and countless Dutch civilians benefited from this manna from heaven. The bomber crews were experienced with bomb drops from 20,000 feet, but this operation was performed at a height of 490 feet, some even flying as low as 390 feet, as the cargo did not have parachutes. The drop zones marked out by Mosquitoes from 105 and 109 squadrons were Valkenburg Airfield, Duindichthorst Racecourse and Ypenburg Airfield, Valhaven Airfield and Kralingse Plaats and Gouda. John Funnell, a navigator on the operation, says the food dropped was tinned food, dried food and chocolate. From the 29th of April through to VE Day, or the 8th of May 1945, the combined efforts saw over 5,500 sorties, dropping an estimated 10,000 tons of food on the starving and grateful Dutch. One of those who had survived the Hongerwinter and benefited from Manna Chowhound was the malnourished granddaughter of the former mayor of Arnhem, a teenaged Aubrey Hepburn. Impact. This mission, though truly the first of its kind, was certainly not the final humanitarian mission of the United States and her allies, as they found themselves the leaders of the Western world. 3 aircraft were lost, 2 in a collision, and 1 due to engine fire. Bullet holes were discovered in several aircraft upon their return, presumably the result of being fired upon by German soldiers who were unaware of or violating the ceasefire. Earlier, before the start of the airdrops, there had been a distribution of white Swedish bread made from Swedish flour that was shipped in and baked locally. A popular myth holds that this bread was dropped from aircraft, but that is a mix-up between the air operations and another humanitarian assistance, whereby flour from Sweden was allowed to enter Dutch harbours by ship. Also, no food was dropped using parachutes during Operations Manna and Chowhound, as is often wrongfully claimed. A commemorative plaque to thank the Royal Air Force for their help in mounting Operation Manna was presented in May of 1980 by Dr. Willem Scholten, Minister of Defence of the Netherlands, and is displayed in the Royal Air Force Museum in Hendon, England. On the 28th of April 2007, British Air Commodore Andrew Geddes was honoured when a hiking trail in Rotterdam district of Ter Brugge, the Air Commodore Geddes Path, was named after him. This path goes past the Manna Chowhound monument in the noise barrier of the Northern Highway Ring Road around Rotterdam. The official unveiling of the plaque was performed by Lieutenant Commander Angus Geddes, Royal Navy, Geddes' son, from England, and Warrant Officer David Chiverton from Australia, Geddes' grandson. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. And for more amazing tales and thrilling stories, don't forget to subscribe to Uncovered Secrets. Also, hit the bell icon to stay notified for every release.